We are busy with a series where we unpack the valuable lessons that are involved in the world of property and business. And we are talking to property practitioner Colin Mansfield, who knows the property industry inside and out. Colin, welcome.
Hi, and nice to be back. It's almost been a week. Feels longer. But the beauty of this kind of stuff is we can do it whenever and we get a chance. And it's always nice to talk to you. You're a good listener.
Okay, well, that's great. And I am so happy that we have you to share your amazing insights with us. And it's just lovely. So let me just jump in. The question for this session, Colin, has to do with resilience. So if somebody is considering working in the world of property, what would you say about the importance of resilience, especially with regard to being able to handle the inevitable setbacks that will come someone's way and also rejection?
And as I mentioned in our previous episode, not everybody is made up the same way. And to an extent, skills can be learned, behaviors can be learned, but handling rejection and failures, you know, the saying, 3 steps forward and 2 steps back all the time. And when you get those feelings that last for weeks, that nothing is going right, despite your best efforts and your best attention, that's when resilience, and it's got to be relentless resilience, if there is such a term. You've got to be really tough and unrelenting and hard on yourself. Don't fool yourself that you're being resilient or being seen to be resilient by everybody. You're being tough on yourself because you won't be beaten. And that's your attitude. You won't be beaten easily. Now, there's lots of motivations. Some people's egos make them unrelenting. Other people have got families, and that drives them. Financial implications or debt or that kind of stuff. And they've just got to dig themselves out of this hole. That's how they feel. And so there's different kind of resiliences, and, you know, I'm not here to define them. But at the end of the day, and what I see, and funny enough, in the last year, I've seen quite a lot of different business models being launched in South Africa in real estate. And they're not giving the people a chance, or even less of a chance, that they're hiring, especially in the platteland. So I'm just going to allude to it quickly, because it's an example where resilience is lacking at the moment, and, you know, I don't know how people are going to overcome that. But the business model of a traditional real estate office, you would have a principal who is normally the owner of the agency, and they run the show, and it's spelled the same as principal of a school. And they are on hand to be able to give advice and guidance and training and bounce ideas off and dilemmas that you may have and all that kind of stuff. And the latest business model that is, it's almost like wildfire, is are now recruiting agents in small towns and platteland towns, and they're not present. There's one one principal nationally and a couple of hundred agents in different towns. They're sitting alone at their houses. They don't have offices. They've had rudimentary training. They may have had training in a language that's not their first language. And to some extent, to expect those people to exhibit resilience when there's no foundation and no background knowledge and that kind of stuff. I've watched these people falling by the wayside, and there's almost no chance unless you're a really serious individual, and there's no chance to even exhibit resilience in this. It is not easy. I feel sorry for the people there, and so resilience where there's structures and stuff, you know, and an office structure and learned people around you and access to education, all that kind of stuff, that helps you to be resilient, you know. But some people and these new business models, I don't think there's any structure, and I would be extremely surprised if anybody lasted longer than 6 months or anything like that.
So they haven't actually taken the environment into account, Colin.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So being resilient and having these characteristics of being tough and nuggety and able to handle anything that comes your way and all that kind of stuff, I still feel there needs to be some sort of base structure, and maybe I'm prejudiced because I've only been part of two well-known real estate firms over 20 years. Sorry. And so maybe I've been spoilt, but it's given me the freedom to be resilient. And there's everybody's got different views on how resilience manifests itself. My view, if people are able to raise a family and acquire assets and ultimately retire one day, their resilience and not always their brilliance brought them there. And I've mentioned to you before that I've seen people that I considered way better agents than me. I wasn't near them. And because they lacked that resilience. And, you know, some people are born with it. Other people's circumstances mold their resilience. A structure and a proper background sort of backs up your resilience and whatever. But not everybody's got it. And it doesn't matter how clever you are, if you're not a tough person and able to handle everything that comes your way. And I don't mean handle it perfectly every time. I have a method that I use that when I'm feeling overwhelmed, I make a deliberate exit from either a conversation or a situation and give myself some time, and I come back stronger. An hour later, a day later, or whatever. That's a learned behavior, you know. And so being resilient is a very broad term, but people need that inherent toughness in them. And resilience, I believe, is one of the major characteristics of a successful agent. You can be an Einstein, you can know lots of things, you can have certain personality types and stuff, but deep down, if you're not bouncing back from everything that's thrown at you, you probably won't make it. That's what I can tell you.
Colin, Thank you for these realities. And you've wrapped up so many gems just in one conversation for us. So thank you. Thank you for sharing these insights with us. And we are so looking forward to the next one.
Thanks, Anne.